everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with some more wrestling news. Yes, Tom has already done a video earlier today, check that out if you haven't seen it already, but there's been a bit more news and we thought, why bloody not? Why not give everybody what we love to see? More wrestling news. I'll stop wasting time. Without any further ado, let's have a look at those headlines. First of all, a SmackDown Superstar is all set to return this week as part of a crucial storyline. Next up, Miro, also known of course as former WWE Superstar Rusev, has revealed a rival offer that came in for him before he signed for AEW. And finally, a top AEW star has revealed that they still talk from time to time with Vince McMahon. So first of all, yes, for all of you NFL fans out there, a lot of you watching Fox's coverage of the various games that took place during, week one, the opening weekend of the NFL season, you may have noticed that there was a bit of a plug for SmackDown featuring the voice of Michael Cole. And Cole basically announced that a SmackDown Superstar will be returning to SmackDown this Friday to confront Bayley. Yes, of course, it's none other than Sasha Banks. Now, if you haven't been watching SmackDown recently, you'll have missed basically the shocking turn that we all basically saw coming, but didn't know when it was going to come, and are also all pretty relieved to finally see happen. That's right, not last episode, but the episode before, Bayley turned on Sasha following their loss in a rematch for the women's tag titles against Nia and Shayna, and basically Sasha was injured after the match, selling an injury, and Bayley took advantage of this. She waved away, all the officials and the medics and everything and said, I'll help Sasha to the back, and instead mercilessly beat her down. Bayley has since come out on SmackDown and said, we were never friends anyway. Sasha did not show up last week, but according to Michael Cole on the NFL coverage on Fox, she will be returning this Friday night. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. When will the pair face each other? How many times will they face each other? And of course, who's going to win the war, essentially? They might take wins off each other, but who's going to come out on top when all is said and done? I think the favourite for that has to be Sasha, because Bayley has just seen so much success recently. She's held that SmackDown Women's title for a long time, over various different reigns, and I think that it might be time for Sasha to get her own back. And Sasha, of course, despite being one of the most talented wrestlers in WWE, has never successfully defended one of her titles. I think that's an official stat, not on the main roster anyway. She wins the belt and then loses it at the first time of asking. And that's just how it's been for Sasha since first appearing on Raw and SmackDown. That's a shame for fans of Sasha, of course, but this could well be the turning point. Could they extend the feud all the way to WrestleMania? I don't see why not. Could they perhaps have a match inside the Cell at Hell in a Cell? Potentially. Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez were speculating that could well be the plan on Wrestling Observer Radio, but we'll just have to wait and find out. And the first clue, of course, will come this Friday when Sasha makes her return and will presumably attack Bayley, if not attempt to. And I'm assuming we'll get some mic time as well to explain how she feels about the whole betrayal. And while we're on the topic of the Blue Brand, actually, SmackDown had some good news this week. Their latest episode of SmackDown was way up from the previous episode in terms of ratings. This past week's show was up 9.5% from the preceding week. The show averaged 2.261 million viewers, which is a big improvement, as I've just mentioned. It's the largest overnight viewership for SmackDown since April 10th, which was, of course, the SmackDown after WrestleMania, which explains the big rating there. But why has the rating been so big this past week? Well, I think there's three possible explanations, or maybe a combination of the three. The first thing I think we need to look at is the return of the NFL and the fact that a lot of the NFL was covered on Fox, and during all the hype for the upcoming games, and of course there was a game on Thursday as well. I'm not sure which network covered it, but Fox will have been talking about the game, I assume. They've been hyping basically SmackDown around this sort of time. So in all the build-up and all the previews of the NFL's first week, which just took place, they'll have been plugging SmackDown and mentioning SmackDown. Of course, all of the games, or nearly all of the games, took place after SmackDown. They took place on Sunday. However, I think they'll have been talking about SmackDown quite a lot in their general coverage. Of course, Fox may have experienced an overall increase in viewership because of the impending return of the NFL too. Next up as well, we have to consider the fact that last week's show, which is the show that did the big number, that came after the show where Bayley turned on Sasha. A big angle, one which will have reached a lot of people who didn't actually tune in for that week's episode of SmackDown, but who will have been keen to tune in for the following week's show to, to find out what happened or to see what the fallout would be. And that could explain as well part of this big jump. And finally, I think as well, a nice little factor, a nice little boost for SmackDown as well, could be the ongoing relationship and the prominence of Roman Reigns and this sort of weird heelish character that he's portraying. He's not fully heel yet, he's behaving heelishly, and he's got that upcoming title shot from Jey Uso. So I feel like Roman is going to probably do something dastardly to really solidify his heel turn, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited to see what happens. I think it's probably going to be quite good. And also, Roman's one of the biggest names in WWE right now, of course. So if he's doing something interesting, it's probably going to get eyes on the product. Those aren't any official reasons. That's my own speculation, and with the help of some of the boys in the office as well. Thank you very much to Aiden, our news hound, for suggesting some of those ideas too. That's just what we've kind of collectively agreed is possibly the reason for SmackDown's jump in viewership. But good news for the Blue brand, they could well be on the up once again. I should point out that Aiden is situated in the office above, social distancing and all that. He's not passed away. I'm not pointing to the heavens or anything. I just thought I'd make that explicitly clear. Next up, let's talk about Miro, who made a big splash, of course, formerly known as Rusev in WWE. Miro made a big splash last week, making his shock debut on AEW Dynamite because he was revealed to be Kip Sabian's best man. But he's not just a best man, he is the best man. That seems to be his gimmick going forwards. Not really a best man in the traditional wedding sense, although he is for now, but the best man, the manliest and best man. And if you look at Miro, you can kind of see why. On his recent Twitch stream, Miro was asked why he didn't go to Impact Wrestling, and in giving his answer, he therefore revealed at one stage that Impact had indeed reached out to him, but he decided against it. He said that was nothing to do with COVID-19, and that wasn't anything to do with his decision not to go to Impact. He just said, I just didn't want to go to Impact. They were very kind, they reached out, I just needed some time. And if he's telling the truth, and that is the genuine reason he didn't want to go to Impact, then that was a very wise decision, of course, if you look at it on the surface, because AEW has a lot more buzz around it than Impact does at the moment, despite very good work being done, I should add, on Impact's weekly programming. They're putting out a very consistent product at a very difficult time. But of course, you can't really deny that AEW is the bigger promotion and has more buzz about it right now, and it seems like the better destination, therefore, for Miro to land. So if he did actually just take some time and wait for another offer maybe, or just assess his options, then that was a very good decision, because he's now ended up in AEW. On the other hand, there's every chance that he may have turned down Impact because he was already in talks with AEW, or maybe suspected that they would come calling for him at some point, and he might have been a little bit savvy there in delaying his Impact or turning down his Impact offer. So I don't really know what the story is. There's every chance he's just telling the truth there, but either way, it's worked out pretty well for the big boy Miro. The big boy Miro. Let's stick with the best man for now. Next up, a top AEW star has confirmed that he still talks to Vince McMahon from time to time. And Chris Jericho does these it's Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho does these live streams, right? And they're just a goldmine for news. He just gives out information. It's never like damning information, but it's always a bit of a window into either his own life or just the general goings on of the wrestling business. So cheers, Chris, for being so bloody newsworthy all the time. On his latest live stream, Jericho discussed which names in WWE he keeps in contact with, and Vince McMahon was one of them. Jericho said, I haven't been speaking to a lot of people, but not for any reason other than the fact that we're all busy doing our own things, going in our own directions, but I still talk to Kevin Owens, Drake Maverick, and Samoa Joe. I speak to Edge once in a while, and I also text Seth Rollins once in a while. And a lot of those names make sense. Jericho and Owens are both Canadian. They were in a tag team together. Drake Maverick's just a great guy, and if you've met him, you'll know that you just sort of person you just want to talk to because he's lovely. Samoa Joe as well, bit of a veteran of the business, not as much as Chris Jericho, but you can just imagine that they really enjoy each other's company and exchanging thoughts on the business and that sort of thing. Maybe they don't talk about wrestling, maybe they talk about barbecue and what's the best type of barbecue. I'm going to carry on. But Jericho also interestingly said, I also talk to Vince from time to time, which I find very surprising. You'd imagine that someone as prideful and as ruthless a businessman as Vince McMahon would be quite hurt by the fact that one of his biggest names decided to not just join AEW, but become a key member of their rise during their first year. I don't know. I'm surprised that Vince still talks to Jericho, despite Jericho helping make AEW a success or a rival to WWE, basically. An ice cream van just went past outside, and it really distracted me there. But on the whole, Jericho then said, do I talk to WWE guys on a daily basis, though? Definitely not. But he was again keen to stress that it's not because of heat or anything like that. He just said, we're all busy people, we're on different planes, flying to different parts of the world, but I still have much respect and love for all of them there. And finally, while we're talking about AEW, let's close this video by explaining what's going to happen with AEW this week. So it's been a bit confusing recently with the NBA playoffs, some of which have been shown, some of the games of which have been shown on TNT, and it's moved AEW around a little bit. We've had Thursday Night Dynamite, we've had bloody Saturday Night It's been a little bit, no wait, did we have Tuesday night? Basically what I'm saying is, it's not always been on a Wednesday, has it? And there was every chance that this week, AEW Dynamite could be moving again, depending on the outcome of the Clippers and Nuggets series. Basically, I think the upshot of it is, and it gets a bit confusing, and even if you're an NBA fan like myself, it gets a bit confusing when you take into account a whole different sport, a whole different show. If you don't know, NBA playoff series are a best of 7, so that means they can go either 4 games, or 5 games, or 6 games, or 7 games, and that can affect upcoming scheduling, basically. So I think the situation here was that if the Clippers won and ended the series, then Dynamite would have to move because there'd be another game from a different series or the next series on Wednesday night. However, the Nuggets beat the Clippers, extending the series to 7 games. That game will take place on Tuesday. Then there'll be a break on Wednesday, which means that because there's no basketball, that means that AEW can run on TNT. I think I've got it right. If you're American and know more about the NBA playoff schedule than I do correct me in the comments down below. But I think I've done okay there. Basketball is my favourite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down. I'm just going to go at the intro now. So that's it for this news video. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, of course, this has been the second news video of today. Check out Tom's earlier on if you so wish to. Also, thank you for watching this video. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And stay safe out there. Stay positive. And I'll see you very soon.